What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? It is your girl, Survivor Speaks. Haven't been live in a long time, but here we are. Allie, thank you so much. I see you already up on it because I wanted to stress that point. Um, Hold on. Allie, let me know if you can hear me. Oh yeah, I know I can hear because you can hear because I just heard myself. Sorry about that. Don't worry about that. But yes, so tonight we're going to be start listening to um Reshona Lafair's book. She is R. Kelly's minor victim in that video, which I'm not going to give too much credence to him. I currently have removed all, well, not currently, back then I removed all of, you know, R. Kelly's music. I don't listen to anything R. Kelly. I'm not, I'm not supporting that. All right. So let me be clear before we start. So this is not gossip. This is not a rumor. This is a survivor finally telling her story. So in her own words, after the world watched and said nothing, and what she reveals in the book is deeply disturbing. I did start listening to it. What's up, Nessa? What's up? What's up? What's up? Um, I did start listening to it. I'm so proud of her because she definitely did clarify some things. And we're going to talk about it because she actually gets to it right up front. And I'm kind of feeling a different way, even though she's very respectful in the book. I'm kind of looking at Sparkle with the side eye now, right? I'm kind of looking at Sparkle with the side eye because what she revealed in this book, it does not, it doesn't sit well with me. However, she does approach her in this book because you know, they are currently speaking, but not what she wants to have a conversation with Sparkle about. She had no idea. Y'all, let's just get to it right here, y'all. So the name of the book is Who's Watching Shorty. It's a powerful tell-all written by Reshona Lafair, a survivor connected to R. Kelly. To R. Kelly's case. This is in her words. So the opinions and that we're going to talk about on the show is the opinions of Survivor Speaks and Survivor Nation reacting to what we hear. But make no mistake about the words that we're hearing from her is coming directly from her. She finally decided to step out here and tell her story. And it puts a lot of things into perspective. So, and when we get to that point, I just want y'all to chime in the comments and tell me how y'all feeling about Sparkle. You know, Sparkle, child. And once you hear what she says, you can't unhear it. She has a right to tell her story. And boy, oh boy, when I tell you, there was some things that I was just like, oh my gosh, she's really, it is something. So let me just run my disclaimer. I'm not even going to do the opening song and all that. I just want to run the disclaimer and we're going to get right back to it.
This video is being shown to you under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, education, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Smash that like button. Let's go.
All right, and we are back. So let me just get the so we're listening to the Audible book. and we're using this to react to it under the Fair Use Act, listen, I done bought it. So don't do me. So yeah, I thought I had it over here, but I restarted. Oh, wait a minute. Let me unshare that because I did not. And it's just going to, yeah. All right, so let me reshare because it's just going to, I didn't do with the audio. Don't want no problems right up front. All right, let's share it with the audio. Okay. All right. And so, like I said, this is in her words. Can y'all let me know in the chat? Let me also do this right up front. I don't select who gets memberships. I just don't want to get too wrapped up in this and forget. But, however, all right. So, as you all know, they give out the memberships. They select people that watch the videos, even if they're not in the chat, and they get what is this over here with Blueface as an icon? I'm gonna have to look up because wait, hold on. So shout out to anybody that did receive a membership. Like as I stated, I don't choose who gets the memberships. YouTube does. So we'll do 5 today. We're gonna get right into it. I just want to know if y'all are going to be able to hear. So let me. Where is it? All right. So this is in her own words.
The blood. Growing up as an Edwards and a Lafair was a full-time job one I was happy to have. On Sundays, I didn't just share the church pew with my cousins, as Grandpa Bo preached the word, and Bo P, Mom's dad, kept a watchful eye on us as a deacon. After Sunday service, we'd all go to Sunday dinner at Grandma Ruby's. Any weekday, you could find me at the dining room table with the extended family, or getting my hair braided by a cousin. On the weekends, Bo P and Granny's Den was the place to be for rambunctious conversation, laughter, and good food.
Hold on, y'all. How do we?
And the summers, there was an annual fourth.
Hold on. How we are in chapter 21? I'm sorry, y'all. I told y'all I started. Oh, and it got
this is wonderful.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute, y'all. They even got the
Hachette Audio presents Who's Watching Shorty? Reclaiming Myself from the Shame of R. Kelly's Abuse. Written and read by me, Reshona Lafair, with a foreword by Drew Dixon. Be sure to look for your bonus PDF of emergency resources.
All right, there we go. I'm sorry. It's echoing on your end?
For Dad, my son, and my inner self.
Is it still echoing?
Author's note. In this book, many of my conversations with Robert Kelly, my parents, and others appear in quotation marks. I am not suggesting in this way that these are literal, verbatim transcripts of conversations that in some cases happen as far back as 20.
Nessa, is it echoing on your end too? Because Ali said it's echoing. Is it echoing on your end too? Hold on, let me make sure. No, I have it paused here, so. It shouldn't be echoing, but.
5 years ago. Rather, these are reconstructions to the best of my recollection that I am confident accurately reflect the substance and tenor of what was said and done. The substance of these traumatic events is indelibly etched in my mind.
Wait, how did we get to chapter?
For I know the plans I have for you.
Hold on, y'all. I don't know how we got to chapter 3. We didn't even finish chapter. All
For
right.
Dad, my son,
Oh,
and my inner self.
so she did.
Author's note. In this book, many of my conversations with Robert Kelly, my parents, and others appear in quotation marks. I am not suggesting in this way that these are literal, verbatim transcripts of conversations that in some cases happened as far back as 25 years ago. Rather, these are reconstructions to the best of my recollection that I am confident accurately reflect the substance and tenor of what was said and done. The substance of these traumatic events is indelibly etched in my mind. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future.
Can y'all hear?
Jeremiah 29:11.
For some reason,
New International Version. These motherfuckers ain't stopping me. Beyonce, Renaissance.
wait, can y'all hear it? Because it done, I don't know why it's not allowing me to share. Oh, okay. It's not allowing. How is that possible? What is going on? I don't know what's going on with it. Long as y'all can hear it there now, it's not echoing. Okay, so I'll just play it from here.
Forward. I'm calling on the cavalry to listen to this book. We need you.
Thanks.
Black women and girls have been waiting for someone to stand up and protect us for half of a millennium. Reshona Lafair has been waiting a quarter of a century to be seen. In this brave and beautiful memoir, Reshona emerges as a dynamic and resilient adult to tell her story in her own words for the first time. She owes us nothing,
Okay.
but she has
Thank you,
given
Nessa.
us a gift. Reshona Lafair's name was not immediately familiar to me, although I vividly recalled the rampant innuendo unleashed sometime in 2002 by a widely circulated child sex abuse tape involving music superstar R. Kelly. I remembered nothing about the girl at its center. The details may elude me because I was grappling with my own escape from abuse in the music industry that same year. As a survivor of sexual violence, I made a point
Thanks,
of
Nessa.
avoiding any footage of the ubiquitous video. In spite of my best efforts, the incessant buzz about the material made it impossible for me to remain totally ignorant of its contents. Looking back now, I remember hearing about a fast girl, a porn star, or a sex slave who had been defiled in a number of ways by a man in his 30s. Not once did I hear this gravely imperiled teenager referred to as someone's daughter or as a child of God. No one expressed any interest in how she got there, or where she came from, or what happened to her after the camera stopped rolling. Why didn't anyone care? The answer to that question is arguably white supremacy's crowning achievement. Reshona's abuse and our callous indifference to it are heartbreaking installments in history of sexual exploitation inflicted on Black women and girls in America. Our casual acceptance of her undeniable suffering reflects centuries of grooming. After all, the institution of slavery was America's economic foundation and depended on the unmitigated rape of Black women and girls. In a society where Black people had no legal rights, there was no room for us to be horrified by their treatment, no opportunity to intervene. For 246 years, our collective psyche found a way to
All right, so I'm back now. I have not. Let me see something. Hold on. It just doesn't work. But let me see if I can uh share the book again and see if you guys can hear it. So yeah, I really want to get to the point where she talks about Sparkle, because she talks about her right in the beginning, because like we need to really discuss this. I want to know how y'all feeling about this in the chat once we get to that portion of it. um I'm almost scared to share the screen, and it might just play it from here and see if it works.
Article in the New York Times.
Let me know if y'all can hear it.
3 years later, I appeared in a documentary called On the Record, exploring the double bind faced by Black female victims of Black perpetrators, as most violent crime, including rape, is intraracial. It was terrifying. The challenge of coming forward is exacerbated for Black women by the legacy of false allegations of sexual misconduct that had been weaponized against Black men and boys for centuries. Informed by this history, I intended to carry the secret of my abuse to my grave. Cases like Emmett Till and the Exonerated Five weighed heavily on my mind. I was also deterred from coming forward by the contempt with which Anita Hill's story of abuse had been received the year before I began my career in the music industry. Even without the additional layer of prejudices, reporting sexual abuse is daunting for survivors of all races and genders. The most obvious obstacle is the tremendous shame associated with the experience itself. Coming forward is further complicated by the fact that rape almost always takes place in the context of long-standing interpersonal relationships. In 2017, struck by the courage of women and some men who were bravely calling out abuse by titans in various industries, I decided to break my silence. As a wife at that time and as a mother, I felt a responsibility to try to make the world safer for the next generation. As a Black survivor, it was also important to me that the Me Too movement included our voices. I naively believed that in response to our stories, a phalanx of esteemed leaders would step forward to insist that Black women deserved dignity, safety, and care. I was wrong. The cavalry for Black women never came. Black women, expected to be magic, are deprived of the compassion reserved for damsels in distress. So there is no manager or knight in shining armor we can call. Spurned by leaders in our own community, the survivors and On the Record joined Reshona Lafair and Anita Hill on a bleak arc of history bending toward despair. But joy cometh in the morning. Reshona Lafair grew up. Reshona Lafair set herself free. Reshona Lafair has returned to tell her story. Her unflinchingly honest and deftly told account offers all of us an opportunity to take accountability for our role in her suffering. Hold space for her. Do not look away. We should be horrified. It is not too late for us to intervene and we must intervene. For the sake of every victim, past and present, they still need you. Reshona still needs you. Black women and girls still need you. And I implore you to give a damn. Drew Dixon, October 5th, 2025.
Preface, foolish girl. What was that foolish girl thinking? If my brain had not been such a tidal wave of conflicted emotions, shame, and hazy understanding of love for the grown man who defiled my child's body, maybe I would have asked the same thing. God knows I often felt foolish, reckless, and ashamed. But most days, I was so
Really?
paralyzed with fear that I couldn't allow myself to think and answer that Robert hadn't told me to think. This man, more than twice my age, whom I called my godfather, made me as invested in his lies as he was. Was it foolish to believe him when he said that the world hated me, that you thought I was a hoe on my best day, but that he would protect me? I already knew that nobody could see what was happening. Or if you did, you surely didn't see it as a problem or blame Robert. I tell you, it's not easy being a girl, especially a Black girl. Shamed for our developing bodies, we're considered too foolish or too fast to keep ourselves outside the clutches of lecherous men. Men who our community puts on a pedestal despite their predatory behavior because of their great music, money, fame, looks, or street cred. And if shit happens, we girls are supposed to lick our wounds quietly and protect our violators' secrets as our own. Was I a fool to believe Robert when he said I made him love me so hard it hurt? How did I...
Allie, listen, because she's about to tell you, and that's what I want to talk about. Can y'all hear me, or do I still sound muffled? That's what I want y'all to listen to, right? She's getting ready to tell you. So it was the other lady was speaking before. And so now this is actually Reshona. She chose to read her own book on audio. And listen closely, because you're going to get to how he became her godfather. And I'm going to stop it there. We're going to have a conversation about it. So if everybody can hear me clearly, I hope so. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. What's going now? Your favorite painter. You know what? What's going on? I'm glad you're here. So listen to what she says about how he became her godfather, because I'm feeling a type of way about how this came about. But I want y'all to listen to her.
allow myself to get turned out by my godfather? Why didn't I muster the courage to drop a dime on him? After all, there were always plenty of folks milling around. From Robert's parade of bodyguards, cooks, chauffeurs, housekeepers, nannies, sound engineers, musicians, personal assistants, managers, and throngs of other hangers-on, to the revolving door of artists and celebrities who were stopping by. Y'all saw me there. I was always there. Maybe you looked without seeing. Maybe you saw without watching. Because if you were watching, you would have seen me seek his approval for every word that came out of my mouth. You would have noticed that all the things that used to matter to me no longer did. Maybe recognizing my pain would have forced you to unearth the secret of your own abuse and acknowledge your scars from poorly healed trauma. Perhaps you told yourself it was none of your business, that R. Kelly was no better or worse than any other man in the music game, and I should have known better. That somebody else was supposed to check for Shorty because that was above your pay grade. So because I didn't starve myself of the heady diet of dopamine and adrenaline fed to me by the predator I thought was my lover, shrug. Everybody was looking after all, but nobody was watching. Not watching me, not watching the man who would cruise the rock and roll McDonald's looking for shapely black girls who seemed to have a point of vulnerability he could exploit. When Dave Chappelle's Piss on You skit aired in early 2003, it added insult to injury for 18-year-old me. Here I was, just a few months out from the trauma of the whole world, witnessing the disgusting things Robert Sylvester Kelly, R. Kelly to you, did to me, and that he compelled me to vehemently deny. And now there was a whole Chappelle Show skit poking fun at my humiliation. I'm sure Chappelle would say that comedians make fun of inappropriate stuff all the time. And all of you who laughed at the punchline would argue you weren't laughing at me. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. Robert was so mad that his threats to me to keep me denying this ever happened often came in form of physical and psychological abuse. Ironically, any blows to the chin that Robert took when the shit hit the fan only got him bigger music sales from an even broader audience. And my ears were always burning from the crash jokes and clucking tongues of friends, neighbors, and church members, talking about the girl who got herself peed on. Every now and then, some folks will feel sorry for that foolish girl. Some of you even cried foul. This was child pornography and statutory rape. But from where I stood, those voices were quickly drowned out by insults. That I was fast, a thirsty and foolhardy groupie, a gold digger, a Jezebel, and my family was riding the gravy train. Predators know how to find their prey. Robert hunted girls like me, girls with big dreams and naive minds who will believe the lies of a grown-ass man.
Yes, it is. It's the young woman now that he used as a toilet. She's talking about how she felt when the world, used her situation as a joke. I didn't think it was funny then. I don't think that is funny now. And she's going to clear up some things that were left to us to just assume, even as it relates to her parents. She's going to clear some things up but at the same time, hold them accountable. She did a great job on the book. We may not get to that part today, but her parents did not know at first. The parents did not know. But I want to get to the part where she talks about how she came to be R. Kelly's quote unquote godchild, and how that all came about. So let's listen to her in her own words. And yeah.
As much as it sucks to say it, Robert the Predator found the right one in me. From the time I was 12, he fed me his lies, whether silver-tongued and sweet or soul-crushing and damning, until they became my own. Me. Robert is a devoted godfather, teaching me the inner workings of the music business. Also me. Ours is a real but forbidden love. That is why it hurts and feels scary. I claim no more ownership of Robert's secrets and lies that contaminated my mind and deceived my heart. That means I've got to set the record straight. I know that those lies have made some folks mistrust me, and I get it. I can't force anyone to believe me. But if you've ever known crippling fear and shame, if you've ever been so exploited and manipulated that it seemed like all the exit signs were removed from every door, if you've ever been told you caused your own violation and that you're nasty and beyond repair when you're young and vulnerable, maybe you can relate. When I first started to write this book, I worried about how everyone whose name would be in it would feel. Would I hurt you? Would you hate me? Then I realized that folks who were inclined to hate me already did. And those of you who branded me a liar are free to believe whatever you want about me. I can't live the rest of my existence trying to make everyone feel better about your role in my life. All I can do is tell the truth as I knew it then and as I know it now, and let the chips fall where they may. I have no desire to ruin folks' lives. God knows I've suffered enough under a man who didn't love me like he said he did and was willing to use me up to distract himself from his own demons. I don't wish that kind of misery on anyone, but my path to healing and wholeness means laying down the burden of other people's dishonesty. I refuse to compromise myself and pollute the truth so folks can save face. Embarrassment sucks, but it isn't the end of the story for any of us. As a full-grown woman, I've come to know a few things about human nature. I know that lots of times, humans don't operate with pure intentions. Sure, we want to help someone, but also we want to set the table for our own feast. We're angling for a foot in the door or on the ladder of success. We want bragging rights, access to the VIP room, recognition from friends and fans. And if we can't get those things for our own accomplishments, we'll settle for being close enough to the so-called greatness of others that we can grab some of their crumbs. Lots of folks wanted to rub shoulders with R. Kelly. His R&B empire was so big that hundreds of people could feast on his crumbs. So people protected Robert from scrutiny. For his illiteracy, his cheating on his then wife, Andrea Kelly, and especially his sexual abuse of me, a whole bunch of women, girls, and the boy he called his little nephew. Robert was powerful enough to greenlight or bury folks in the music business. Plenty of people knew he was a snake, but since the business is full of snakes, they just decided to tread lightly. I'm not here to tell those stories or clear anyone's name, but I will not sidestep the hard truth about those people who lied for me and about me, or who encouraged me to lie to protect myself and others. Robert Sylvester Kelly groomed me to fill my mouth, mind, body, and spirit with the filth he fed me. I own the decisions I made, decisions born of warped understanding, fear, confusion, jealousy, and a misguided belief that on the other side of all the lies, there would be peace. I've come to realize that as long as the devil is getting the glory in your story, there will never be peace. As I heal the girl inside of me, I'm telling her story, my story. I'm reclaiming my name because I don't want it to be a dirty word. And my body because I no longer want an image reduced to the blacked out face of an exploited child. My story may be rough, but I'm not a mistake.
So he called this boy, the boy that she's talking about, nephew. And I'm going to have to go back because I heard about the boy that he called nephew. I forget who it is right now. But they were talking about him all during that Lifetime movie that came out. So she's going to tell you exactly how he manipulated her. R. Kelly's manipulation was on a whole different level. It is sickening to hear. But what I want to talk about, she's going to get to it in a minute, I believe.
Nor is my life just about suffering and tragedy. That's why I'm raising my voice, stepping out of the shadows and reintroducing myself, because I know there's a blessing in it, for me and maybe for you too. I'm not holding on to one more lie. Prologue, West Side Shorty. Crisscross, Lil Bow Wow, me. I was that good. A pint-sized girl rapper from the west side of Chicago. I was a member of a professional singing group, called For the Cause, originally YWFC, Young Warriors for the Cause, along with 3 of my cousins since I was 9. I was the youngest member by a couple of years, but because I was a confident rapper in a small package, I was a standout in the group. Friends, family, and fans alike called me Shorty. For the Cause was a cover band, and we put our own hip-hop spin on soul and pop classics like Stand By Me, Every Time You Go Away, and Ain't No Sunshine, as well as original songs like Make Your Head Rock. At first, we were on football legend Reggie White's record label, Big Doggy Records, before signing with Jürgen Grebner, who was then at RCA BMG. By 1998, we had released a CD and were minor celebrities in Europe and beyond. Our song Stand By Me even charted in the top 10 in 8 countries. Germany, where it reached number 2, as well as Austria, Belgium, Ireland, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Sweden, and Switzerland. Although For the Cause toured in several countries, especially Germany and Italy, our group's popularity in the US was more modest. Most of our stateside fans were in our Chicago hometown. But my family kept me humble. And at 9, 10, 11, and 12 years old, I really didn't realize that our group was internationally famous. With my dad, Greg Lafair Sr., a professional guitarist, and my favorite aunt, Stephanie Sparkle Edwards, an R&B singer on the come up in Chicago, I was just loving life and following in the footsteps of my musical family. Music wasn't the only thing I loved to do, though. My tiny frame contained a big, bubbly personality, and I was popular in my Oak Park neighborhood for being a tomgirl who delivered on the basketball court, a Girl Scout who took cookie sales seriously, and a leader among my peers. My family was nobody's idea of rich, but if there was ever any struggle, it lived far beyond my notice. As far as I was concerned, life was full of everything I needed, and a few extras besides. I loved being a big sister to my brother Little Greg, who's 8 years younger than me. As short and small as I was a giant to him. When I picked him up and put him on my shoulders, I relished how good it felt to be big and powerful in his eyes. My parents kept me active in our community, from attending a host of local park and rec center events to being an intercessor and praise dancer at our family's church. Since we lived pretty close to my grandparents, cousins, aunts, and uncles on both sides of my family, they were like a safety net that extended my footprint beyond my neighborhood and tapped me into everything else that was fun in my corner of the globe in the 1990s. I wouldn't say I had stars in my eyes, but I lived in a world of big aspirations. As Greg Lafair's daughter, Sparkle's niece, and Shorty the rapper, I definitely enjoyed the opportunities to try on what it was like to be a celebrity artist. If you asked me, I probably would have said I wanted to make it big as a rapper or basketball player. Maybe both. And with my ambitious and tight-knit family, I had no doubt I'd get wherever I wanted to go. Part 1. I want to be down. I could be wrong, but I feel like something could be going on. Brandy. Chapter 1. All That Glitters. I don't know how it happened, but when I was 12, I was my Aunt Sparkle's mini best girlfriend. Or at least that's what it seemed like, and I felt special. She was known to the rest of the world as Sparkle, but to me, she was my beautiful, glamorous, and talented aunt. Sparkle, aka my mom's youngest sister Stephanie, was already the celebrity of our family, well before her first album was ever released. At 16 years my senior, 9 if you're counting by her music industry age, Aunt Sparkle lived downtown, traveled at whim, and had choreographers and producers as friends. She was different. I admired everything about her. When
Yeah,
I was very
listen,
little, I remember I met the man who was then Unsparkle's husband, Earl Robinson,
listen.
of the R&B trio Public Announcement. The group became best known on the national scene for backing an up-and-coming R. Kelly in the early 1990s. The day I met him at my grandmother's house, his combat boots, New Jack Swing outfit, and swagger told me he was big time, even before Unsparkle introduced him. That was how she rolled, too. Hair laid, outfit on point, and her own swagger that made people take notice. At some point, Unsparkle no longer had a husband, but what she told 12-year-old me confirmed she had her share of admirers and hadn't lost a step in her personal life. As I watched her get dressed to the nines for her various engagements, she would school me on topics that felt light years away, like the importance of staying ready for a sexual encounter by keeping my vagina on fleek.
Now this is pre-R. Kelly. This is her talking to this 12-year-old child, this Sparkle. Sparkle is her mother's sister, her aunt. Listen and listen to this, because we are going to discuss how that man became her godfather. And I want to discuss what y'all think about Sparkle after you hear what she says right here. Let's go.
I twisted my face into a question mark. Unsparkle stopped putting on her makeup. Reading my face, she sighed at the question I didn't ask. Chone, wouldn't it be easier to keep your head clean if you had no hair?
You didn't hear her,
I
Allie?
guess. I hunched my...
Allie, you didn't hear? Let me tell you something. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you. Because we ain't going to get to that part today. I know we're not. But spoiler alert. Sparkle was performing on the, according to her niece, child, Sparkle was performing on that Lifetime little thing going on there. I just thought I'd throw that out there for y'all, because we're not going to get to it today. Because the book is, but Sparkle, just spoiler alert, Sparkle was performing on that Lifetime movie thing, according to Reshona Lafair, her niece, who's Sparkle and Reshona's mother. They are sisters. But I want y'all to listen, because we need to discuss how she came to be R. Kelly's daughter. If you heard, goddaughter, if you heard all of the accolades she spoke of earlier, just a little while ago, her and her group, which were her and her cousins, they were already put on. They were already signed. They were more popular internationally. I remember the little group, but I don't really want to put the cousins and stuff, because her cousin went through something because of her dropping out of the group, because R. Kelly done told her some bull. So with my sense of burden, that shit, some bull. And so what she said, Allie, was a Sparkle at 12 years old. She's 12. Sparkle told her how to stay ready so she don't have to get ready, and how to keep her clean so she'll always be ready. What are you doing having a conversation with this 12-year-old child about that? But I digress. Let's hear, because I want to get to the part that I want to discuss. She getting to it. Pay attention.
Shoulders. And isn't it easier to see someone's lips if they don't have a beard? Yeah. It's the same with our vaginas, Chone. Even if you don't want to share yours with anyone just yet, you will one day. Just take my word on that. And that's not the time to learn how to keep her cute and sweet. She wrinkled her face. Best to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Unsparkle tapped my nose with her manicured finger like she had made everything clear. Even as puzzled as I was over her advice, I was sure of one thing. My aunt was the big sister I never had, and her sensational life felt like a peek behind the veil of womanhood. She didn't say that our conversations were a secret, but I knew they weren't for public consumption either. So I kept her revelations to myself, mostly. Hearing her stories of sexual encounters with high-profile men and her various boyfriends in the music industry filled my imagination with PG-13 daydreams, but I didn't want to discourage her from sharing them. Aunt Sparkle knew things that seemed important for a future woman like me to know. Things like the intricacies of love and the mysteries of lying in bed with a man. Aunt Sparkle wasn't the only member of my family in the music business, of course, but she looked the part more than the rest of us. Yes, For the Cause had toured all over Europe, and my cousins and I had a blast attending the Stellar Awards and touring with Raymond Simone in 1996. And as a well-respected guitarist in the deep bench of Chicago talent, Dad gigged all around, playing everything from funk and R&B to gospel, jazz, and hip-hop, though he made his most regular paychecks playing for gospel artists at church productions. But it was Aunt Sparkle who shined like new money as her star continued to rise in the R&B universe. She was a credited background vocalist on Aaliyah's 1994 double platinum debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, produced by R. Kelly, who by then was killing the R&B game on the international stage. And 2 years later, Sparkle became R. Kelly's next musical protege in the process of signing with his newly incorporated Rockland Records. Sparkle's self-titled album debuted in 1998 and went platinum. At 12, I didn't know much about the business side of my own group's recording contract, much less Sparkle's music deal. I was just excited for all of us. As a kid musician and favorite niece of my favorite aunt, I had a glimpse at the adult world of entertainment, but I was still very much a kid, and when I wasn't touring with my group, I was content to shoot hoops and hang out with my junior high school friends. I knew that I was a part of a talented musical family, of course, and that we all wanted to follow our gifts and talents wherever they would lead us. But the most important thing was, I felt loved and supported by them, especially my Aunt Sparkle. It was the late fall or early winter of 1996 when my Aunt Sparkle cheered on my cousins and me at our For the Cause concert for the local Chicago crowd. She brought a guest, R. Kelly. I had no way of knowing how Aunt Sparkle's unexpected guest would make my preteen life in Chicago and my musical aspirations clash and ultimately cancel each other out. I was just happy to take the stage in Chicago and amazed to meet R. Kelly when I got off stage. R. Kelly, a bona fide star. R. Kelly who was everywhere and loved by everyone, especially here in Chicago. Of course I knew his music. Of course I admired him. Everyone did. I was excited to spot him at a Fred Hammond gospel concert at my church once. But this was on another level. Not only was my Aunt Sparkle R. Kelly's protege, but now he was my group's newest and most famous fan. I know that some folks feel otherwise, but even now, I believe that Sparkle's initial intention in introducing R. Kelly to my family came from a place of wanting to see us all win, like she was. And in Chicago in 1996, as a musical talent in a crowded field of hopefuls, you wanted to get as close to him as you could.
I beg to differ.
I'm sure that's one reason why she connected to him as she did. He was a hit maker. He knew the sound folks couldn't get enough of. And he was still here in Chicago, making music when lots of folks would have set up shop in New York City or LA. It was like Chi-Town. My city was his muse. I wasn't thinking about any of that though. I was just starstruck, excited that my aunt was starting a new career and amazed that this artist I was inspired by was acknowledging me. He said he was wowed by us, and especially wowed by me as the youngest and smallest member of the group. He made a point of singling me out, complimenting me on stage presence, and giving me constructive criticism about how to handle myself as a performer. He made me feel seen and respected as an artist, something I always wanted to be. And just when I thought things couldn't get better, he decided to treat my family to a meal at the Cheesecake Factory. I can no longer remember all that we talked about at dinner, but it was the beginning of getting to know R. Kelly the star as Robert Kelly the man. Since Unsparkle was working on music at Robert's studio, I started tagging along and hanging around the studio too. I loved soaking up the energy. It made me that much more excited about my own dreams of being a singer and rapper. At some point during those early days, maybe it was even at our Cheesecake Factory dinner, Robert learned that my dad was a great guitarist. So Robert asked Dad to become a studio musician for him. Although my dad is credited on several R. Kelly albums, he never played on stage with Robert. He would just go to the studio and lay tracks to inspire Robert in his songwriting. When Dad went to play music, I took those opportunities to join him at the studio. It felt great to be around Robert and witness his talent firsthand. And I was also tickled to have a celebrity friend. In addition to the time I spent at the studio, I would also go with Unsparkle or my parents to watch him play basketball with his friends or employees when he'd rent out Hoops the Gym in Chicago's West Loop neighborhood. Then he would take all of us to Rock and Roll McDonald's on North Clark Street or Cheesecake Factory on North Michigan. Hanging out with Robert was fun, and because he was famous, it was like I was brushed by greatness. Of course, I had met folks who were famous in other countries when I toured with For the Cause. And our fans in those countries screamed for our group, which made me feel famous. So to an extent, I was accustomed to meeting people in the music industry, both here and abroad. But this was the first time I was connected to a huge celebrity I personally looked up to, right here at home. It felt terrific, like my whole family was on the come up. It was a couple of months into my new friendship with Robert, and I was at Unsparkle's apartment when she said, "Hey, Chon, the next time we're at the studio, you should ask Robert to be your godfather." I turned her words over in my mind. Yeah, that's actually a great idea, because that'll make me closer to him. I thought it would be more of a good thing, which seemed great to me. But since I had to make this request for myself, I felt nervous about it. Unsparkle explained that I should sit on his lap and rub his head while I asked him to be my godfather. This instruction seemed sort of weird since I hadn't sat on his lap before, but I didn't question it. The next time I was at the studio with her, I went into his office and did exactly what she told me to do. I was surprised that sitting on his lap created a feeling in me that was beyond the friendship we had been cultivating. Is this okay to do? Some part of me wondered why it didn't feel like sitting on Mom's lap or even Dad's. Robert stayed put and acted normal. Then he looked up at me, his smile broad and warm. Yes. Wow. I smiled.
All right, that's where I wanted to get to. This one where we need to have this mother freaking discussion. So Sparkle, her aunt Sparkle. And so I didn't want to be Pawsy McPawsington, but you heard Reshona say that she believed that Sparkle was coming from a good place when she introduced the family to R. Kelly. She wanted them all to benefit. I beg to differ. This young child, why anything that Sparkle has ever said after I'm hearing this from her, all the performances that she's put on, I don't believe her. Because R. Kelly actually, he probably had his eyes. She said he kind of singled her out. do y'all believe that him and Sparkle had some type of conversation where he told Sparkle? Because why would Sparkle suggest this? You suggested to your niece that the next time she's around R. Kelly, you should ask him, does he want to be your godfather? Sparkle, why? Then you went on to tell this young 12-year-old girl, because she felt she was uncomfortable really with asking him, well, the next time we're over there, just sit on his lap and rub his head and ask him, do he want to be your godfather? Now, do y'all think that Sparkle? I was so mad. I was so mad when I heard this. So mad when I heard this. Sparkle, and I believe that even though Reshona is healing, because she's still healing, she does say that when you get later, on in the book, and this is part of her healing phase. She has a right to tell her story. She's pissed because Sparkle has been telling her version of her story. So she decided to write this book to tell her own story. So Sparkle gets all of the middle fingers from me because you set this in motion. And y'all just keep listening, because what she's going to say, does she say it right away? Child, Sparkle is a whole 304, y'all. Y'all don't know what a 304 is. Y'all know a garden tool out here, pay for play. Why would you do this to your niece? So that's why when you see Sparkle out here crying, she's crying for herself. Because even though R. Kelly was around her, and he doesn't get an excuse or pass from me. I don't listen to none of his music. He don't get no play, no rotation from me. As a matter of fact, I told Siri, if I have you playing, remove him from the playlist. I don't play that. I can't separate the man from the music. F him. He still has victims till today. And even though, the Stockholm syndrome should kind of be gone away, but Jocelyn Savage still ain't get it yet. But everybody else, I believe that they have. But Jocelyn Savage is still over there not talking to her mom and her daddy, and that's her husband, and they gonna get married, and she gonna get pregnant and all that. But anyway, Sparkle, everything that happens to this girl after Sparkle sent her to sit on R. Kelly's lap and rub his head and ask him to be her her godfather, to me, Sparkle should be crying, because you set your niece up. You set your niece up for this. Who does that? First of all, my daughter ain't sitting on no man's lap. Child, when I tell y'all, I was mad in the mofo when I heard this earlier. But she's going to continue. Let's go. Because
I didn't know what I had been expecting, but it seemed almost too easy. Cool. My heart felt happy. Now I was a part of his family. When I shared the news of my change in status with my parents, they noted that I already had godparents, but they said this was great. To my mind, they knew that I was also...
She already had goddamn parents. Excuse me for the damn after the God, my heart. She already had godparents. So why would you? And I know that she knows, because their family is you're going to learn, they're a tight family. They're a close-knit family. So you already knew that she had godparents. Sparkle, what was your real intentions by telling her to do this. And R. Kelly used her to X Sparkle out of the equation. She tells about that too. So you fed her to the big bad wolf, and he used her to X you out because y'all was sleeping. They were sleeping together. Sparkle told her. And wait till you hear what else. What? Sparkle, you was jealous of your niece? I can't make this stuff up. This is Reshona Lafair's story in her own words. And yeah, there will be no victim bashing of this young lady that's telling her story finally, instead of everyone else telling her story and twisting the story to fit a narrative like you're the victim, Sparkle. Even up until the Lifetime, when I said, so wait a minute, she's still betraying you? Even at the point of the Lifetime movie, whatever that was that came, expose that came out, child, Sparkle is trash.
So into basketball and music, like Robert was, so they could see that we had meaningful things in common. Robert had visited our church and given his life to Christ. So as far as I knew, no one was holding the old rumors about him liking teenage girls against him. Hanging at my mom's parents' house was always a good time. Sundays and holidays were the days when everyone would come over. My aunts and uncles liked to call my grandparents' house the shelter because it was the spot where you could come empty-handed and without having called to announce your arrival, and the house would be full of family, good food, and lots of conversation. Sometimes Aunt Sparkle would walk in late, saying her ears were burning so bad that she just had to come by and see what folks were gossiping about her. Aunt Sparkle wasn't wrong. Everyone and everything was fair game to discuss in my grandparents' den. And you could be talked about whether you were there to defend yourself or not. The room, full of too much furniture and folks over the age of 19, was where everyone got caught up on their career moves and romantic lives of everyone else while hoping they wouldn't land in the hot seat. Since I was a kid, my presence wasn't immediately shooed away, but I knew, like my cousins did, that we were supposed to keep it moving through the den. Sure, we could walk in and out on the way to the kitchen or bathroom, but if we kids wanted to eavesdrop on the conversation, we had to plant ourselves in the living room, which was right next to the den. There we'd hear everything that was being said without being seen. And to make it look like we weren't doing what we were doing, we'd turn on the TV to a kids show and maybe chat mindlessly with another cousin. If I had noticed the topic of conversation in the den turned to music and career stuff, I'd be ear hustling, silently scrutinizing who said what and why. Before my connection to Robert became a sore spot for our family, our R. Kelly association was a frequent topic of conversation in the den. Sitting in the room with my mom and dad were my mom's siblings, Aunt Sparkle, Aunt Charlotte, Uncle Benny, and Uncle Coop, who was the manager For the Cause, my group with my cousins. When Robert's name entered their spirited chit-chat, I could tell their words weren't meant for young ears, so mine immediately perked up from the living room. People always worried about who R. Kelly's sleeping with, like it's their business. They should worry about their own raggedy love lives. He's got a wife, for God's sakes, Aunt Charlotte huffed. Didn't he get saved? Mom chimed in. Didn't we all, Valerie? Aunt Sparkle sounded amused. Well then, Mom said,
Oh, my bad.
let he who is without sin cast the first stone is all I gotta say about that. If God forgives and forgets, then why should anybody bring up rumors? That's my point, Aunt Charlotte responded. Aunt Sparkle laughed. Not exactly, Charlotte, but okay. Valerie, I think we're all grown enough to know that getting saved and staying saved are two very different things. She chuckled again. But you're right that there are rumors. This industry is full of haters. Uncle Cook spoke with authority. I'm sure R. Kelly's got plenty. Uncle Benny's laugh boomed. What they say about crabs in a barrel? That's how folks are, especially if they ain't on the gravy train. Say that, Aunt Charlotte piped up. But that man has shown our family nothing but love, and it's surely not because y'all are rich, famous, or powerful. Speak for yourself, Aunt Sparkle joked. Oh, we forgot. Stephanie has already arrived. Mom was always quick with her replies. She chuckled. But seriously, what's wrong with being on the gravy train? The room went silent, and my stomach clenched from nervousness. Did my mom just say that out loud? Is that really how she feels? Then Mom laughed at her own question, and the rest of them joined in. Girl, I thought you were tripping for a minute, Aunt Sparkle responded. Look, I know that R. Kelly is a lot of things, but one of those things is a musical genius who's making bank. I tell you what, I don't care if R. Kelly wipes his ass with $100 bills, just as long as he ain't handing my family no shit sandwich. Then he'll have to deal with me. So handle your business, fam, and I'll deal with the rest. Uncle Benny responded more loudly than the others. Everyone was quiet. I guess they were digesting his meaning like I was. Dad broke the silence. Rob runs this town for sure. His voice was gravel. More than this town, Greg, Aunt Sparkle answered. You know that like I do. That's why I had to put you on. Thank you. Of course. How could I keep my good fortune all to myself? Someone snapped to punctuate Aunt Sparkle's words. I mean, Robert's like y'all's age, and he's already a legend. Aunt Sparkle continued her thought. And his nose ain't stuck up in the clouds either, Aunt Charlotte added. It's really not, Mom agreed. Look, I was shocked when he became Reshona's godfather. I just didn't see that coming.
See?
But he's been a blessing to us. Dad finished Mom's thought. To our whole family, we're blessed to be a part of his short list of important people. I don't even know how that happened.
Sparkle.
That's what I'm saying, Greg. I'm not just singing background anymore. I'll have my own album on his label. And now that you're playing with him and you're getting your name out there in some different circles, it's like our family is finally building our own musical empire. What do you think I've been doing? Uncle Cook's voice was full of fake offense. R. Kelly has made us his family, and I'm grateful. Mom's voice dripped with the blood of Jesus. She clapped her hands. That's God. I don't care what nobody says. Look, Valerie, before you start catching the Holy Ghost, Aunt Sparkle huffed, let me just say this. Robert is nobody's Jesus Jr., okay? God knows this business has way more Satans than saints. But I'm happy Chon has become like a daughter to Robert because he does know how to take care of his kids. And Greg and Cook know how this business chews folks up and spits them out with the quickness. I'm sure Robert has chewed up some folks too. But having the biggest dog in your corner is what you want. Aunt Sparkle paused. I hung on to her warning as much as everyone in the den. Robert Sylvester Kelly is a genius whose song catalog is like a whole damn bank. So for as long as he's churning out the hits everybody wants to bump and grind to, we'd be stupid to pick a fight with him. If he wants us to be his family, we can do that. And if we get blessed with some coins, hit songs, fame, or whatever else, I'm not mad at that either. None of us should be. Let God worry about Robert's soul, Valerie. But I know God can use anyone to bless us, so I'll take it. Aunt Sparkle's words rang in my ears. I did feel blessed, and her advice seemed sound. I couldn't think of one good
mother
reason
and
why
father,
any of us will want to pick.
Her mother and father didn't understand how he became her godfather. All of this was done by Sparkle. I thought it was important to stop it right here. Once they didn't find out 2 years later, right? But once they found out R. Kelly had already had them quit their jobs or whatever, and they were depending on him for money. That still doesn't give them a pass, her parents a pass, once they found out. But they didn't know at first. They didn't have no understanding how he became this child's godfather. That is Sparkle. When it comes to this girl only, I'm not talking about the rest of those victims, because they all are victims. But when it comes to this victim, her own aunt and R. Kelly is the blame, but she fed her niece to him, and they're gonna get mad about it. Y'all gonna hear how she got mad? Yeah, we're gonna hear how Sparkle got mad about it. But I'm just saying, the parents didn't know for years and years and years. And she tells the story about how they did not know. But the rules of her I just don't believe that there was no conversation between Sparkle and R. Kelly prior to him becoming this girl's godfather. I don't believe, because why, if she's already hanging out at the studio, why did they need to take it? Why did they need to go a step further? And she needed to become his goddaughter. That doesn't make sense to me. So to me, they had to have some type of conversation, him and Sparkle. And you knowingly fed your niece to this guy, and it backfired in your freaking face. But okay.
Fight with Robert. Having him as my godfather and his wife, Andrea, as my godmother by extension, made me their family and expanded my footprint tremendously. I had free reign and could hang out with Robert at the studio even more, sometimes with Aunt Sparkle, sometimes with Dad, or sometimes by myself. My world was already built on the firm foundation of a family who held my dreams like stars in the sky. Now it felt like I could grab hold of those stars and let them glisten in my hands. Chapter 2, Catching Feelings. A few months into being 12, I was playing in an AAU basketball game when my first period caught me by surprise. Initially, I was embarrassed, thinking I hadn't wiped well. But when Mom picked me up and we made what I thought would be a pit stop at Granny's house, Granny stepped in like she had been waiting her whole life for this. "Do you have cramps, Reshona?" Mom seemed caught off guard by my news and at a loss about what to do. Granny left the room and walked into the bathroom. "I don't think so." I wasn't sure what cramps felt like. I mean, it felt like, I don't know, a little weird feeling. And then I thought I had an accident. It felt like I couldn't help it. I hunched my shoulders. "Well, praise be." Granny's voice returned to the room before her body did. She was holding a value-sized bottle of Massengill feminine wash. "Now that you're a little lady, Reshona, you have to keep yourself very fresh and clean." She shook the Massengill in her hand. "Valerie, the child needs some pads. Go into that hall closet where I keep my extra supplies and things, and grab me a maxi pad and a pair of dark blue or red panties. Not white." Mom's face was stamped with surprise. "I didn't think you needed pads anymore, Ma. I've got daughters, nieces, and now granddaughters who might need them." She nodded and smiled at me. "Things happen, Valerie. Can you please just get the panties and 4 pads so she can put one in her school backpack and have 2 for tonight?" Granny shook her head. Mom disappeared into the back of the house. Granny chatted about the miracle of being able to bring forth new life. I squinted because I didn't get it, and because I felt another one of those weird feelings deep inside below my belly button. I had never thought much about there being anything else inside of me other than my bladder, but I knew this wasn't urine, even though I was wetting myself. And now Granny had her arms on my shoulders, rocking herself and me, her smile full of awe for the wonders of God. My face must have been full of confusion when my mom returned. 4 thick maxi pads flapping in her hands. She means that you can get pregnant, Reshona, that your body is able to, because you got your period. Mom's face was pressed into a light frown. I answered her frown with my own. That was something light years from my mind. Judging from my mom's face, that made 2 of us. Yes, Reshona. Once God...
Some people might say, why is she saying all of this? I believe like she wrote the book with a writer. I believe this is showing how innocent she is before R. Kelly takes her innocence. That's something that is as natural and is going to happen to all women. She was a little embarrassed by it. Her mother didn't know how to explain to her, so she took her to her grandmother. So it all makes sense. When I heard it, I understood why this is getting the whole chapter. It's once again showing her innocence and how, naive she is to, being a child. And so I for those who don't understand, I just thought I'd just throw my 2 cents, and that's how I took it. So
blesses you with a good God-fearing man to be your husband and your family's provider, then you'll surely be blessed to have babies, Granny smiled. But until that happy day, let's get you cleaned up. Granny led me to her bathroom, closed the door, and waited. I had been using the bathroom by myself for years, so I waited too. Reshona, I forgot to tell Valerie to get you a washcloth. Go get one, please. Not white. And bring the wool light too. You'll need to sponge out those soiled panties. Granny shooed me away with her hand and sat on the edge of the bathtub. I started running, but feeling another weird feeling. I slowed down. I didn't know what I'd find in my underwear, and the idea that Granny was going to find out when I did made me hot with embarrassment. Returning to the bathroom with a washcloth and wool light in hand, I found Granny humming a hymn. Don't be nervous, baby. I went through this with each of my 3 daughters. It's something that happens to all girls at some point, and today is your day. Now let's get out of those clothes so you can take a shower. When Granny saw me hesitate at her instruction, she turned to give me privacy until I was behind her frosted shower curtain. I wondered how much she could see of me, but she acted like it was normal for her to be in the bathroom with me as I stood naked in the shower. Granny coached me through how to clean myself from top to bottom, giving me an especially detailed play-by-play on how to manage your vaginal hygiene. When it was time to get out, she held out a bath towel, and I was only too happy to wrap myself in it. Now you're going to hand wash these in a moment. She motioned toward my soiled underwear, staring at me from the bathroom sink, which was not where I had left him. I was embarrassed all over again. Step into your clean panties, Reshona, and pull them up to your knees. I readjusted my towel so it wouldn't fall. My grandma used to call them step-ins, since you step into them. Granny chuckled at the memory. Okay, good, Reshona. Now watch what I do. She pulled a long strip off the underside of the pad that I hadn't even realized was there. Now be careful to hold the pad by the sides to keep it clean. You don't want any dirt getting inside of you. I had just taken a shower and washed myself according to Granny's step-by-step instructions, so I couldn't imagine I had any dirt on my hands. I thought about all the times I had run in from playing basketball or football, and quickly washed my hands before going to the bathroom without giving a thought to the dirt and sweat on my skin before wiping myself. Had I been contaminating myself without even realizing it? I didn't want to ask Granny. I feared that her answer would be yes, and that she'd have lots more instruction on how to use the bathroom. Okay, I took the pad from her, taking care to hold it as she was. Now press it into your underwear so it sticks, Reshona. I was holding my bath towel with my left hand and the pad with my right. I didn't have an extra hand to press the pad into my panties. I clamped my left underarm tight up against my body and let go of the towel with my hand. My hands fumbling with the pad, I felt my towel slipping off my body. I froze. It's okay, baby. I kept trying to protect my modesty. Okay, Reshona, let me just keep that up for you. Granny held up my towel and I pressed the pad into my panties. She didn't say anything when my fingers touched the center of it by mistake, though I heard her make a small gasp. Okay, good. Now scoot your panties all the way up. I did. Granny handed my falling towel back to me and turned her back. She was studying my soiled panties in the sink. I had forgotten about those. Did she really expect me to wash them and hold my towel up too? Would you like a robe to wear, Reshona? Yes, please. Valerie, please grab this child my extra robe, the terry cloth one. That's on the hook on the door of my second closet. It might be under a few things. Just look for it. When Mom returned with the robe, I put it on over the towel, tying it tight. Granny completed my tutorial with my mom standing in the doorway of the bathroom. I couldn't understand why she needed to be there too, but since Granny had talked me through my shower, I decided to leave that question alone. From that point on, I knew exactly what to do, and thankfully I was trusted to manage it on my own. My mom even bought me my own box of pads. I just had to let her know when I needed more. I didn't learn about the existence of tampons for several more years. I felt different, more feminine somehow. I started to notice how girls at school dressed and wore their hair, so I could take pointers on how to represent myself as the adolescent girl I now knew myself to be. These experiences quickly found their place in my future woman toolkit, right alongside the suggestive 90s lyrics penned by my godfather and his contemporaries, and Unsparkle's equally spicy stories of her romantic adventures. Unsparkle had already shared with me that she had been intimate with Robert. I was 13 years old when she asked if he had gotten me something for Christmas.
Yeah, listen to this.
Though I had been enjoying the perks of being Robert's goddaughter, playing basketball on reserved courts, dining at Cheesecake Factory, for no reason at all, and especially hanging with him at the studio, I hadn't thought much about the fact that he didn't get me a present until Unsparkle asked. No, I answered, my voice flat. Oh, Unsparkle's voice was nonchalant. She looked down at her arm and slipped on a chunky silver bracelet with a big G on it. Then she ran her finger along the G. I watched as her finger traced the letter over and over. Did he get you something? I asked. I hadn't cared 1 second before, and a part of me still didn't. But now, a part of me did. Yes, Chone. Unsparkle eyes shined. He got me this. Her mouth pulled into a demure smile. She stuck her arm out so I could get a good look at the bracelet she had been playing with. It's Gucci. She answered the question I didn't ask. Oh, wow. I stared. It's pretty, isn't it? And Sparkle admired it again. I couldn't think of anything else to say. The silence between us felt strange. I felt strange. Why did she ask me that? And why do I feel bad all of a sudden? I couldn't figure out why she chose that way to tell me what he had gotten her, or why I felt weird. I didn't realize it was the stirrings of jealousy. I can't remember which crush came first, Romeo or Jonathan. But since I didn't really know how to act around them, I just made sure I played basketball, football, or whatever boys were playing so I could be around them in my free time. And once one of them and I established that we liked each other, we'd walk home from school together, sometimes stopping by to get a daily double at the local McDonald's before giving each other a goodbye hug. Whereas I never seemed to know what to discuss with Jonathan and had resorted to play fighting with Romeo when we were crushing on each other. I never had a problem engaging in long and thoughtful conversations with Robert. Despite the temporary weirdness with Unsparkle, I had fun with Robert. He was interested in what I was
child
interested
ain't
in
know nothing
and didn't
about
mind talking basketball
nothing.
or
She was
music
innocent.
for as long as I wanted to. With him on his cell and me on my home phone, I had my own phone line that rang only in my room. We recounted the highlights of our days. He always had an endless string of questions about my family and friends, and he seemed to genuinely value my opinions. When I was around Robert, I started feeling little tingles, almost like butterflies. When he would grab my head and kiss me on the forehead, or when the two of us was watching a movie together at the studio. It felt exhilarating. As I peppered him with questions about his life during our phone conversations, questions that he seemed all too willing to answer, I realized that I was nursing a crush that felt altogether new. Better than my awkward kitty crushes, this was also more meaningful than a celebrity crush because I was getting to know the person behind the R. Kelly persona. I began to look forward to our rambling phone conversations. Then, when I was at the studio one day, Robert hugged me a little too long and a little too tight. And my newly teenage body felt something had changed between us. From that point forward, our phone conversations took on another dimension. I remember early on, I was lounging on my twin bed in the late afternoon. I had already finished my homework and was listening to music on my black stereo set in the corner of my room. I pulled off my jeans so I could hang out in my bed until my mom called me for dinner. I grabbed my red cordless phone and it lit up as I dialed Robert's cell phone number. As we chit-chatted, my feet pushed under the jumble of covers on my bed and my knees tucked under my chin. I imagined that my wall posters of Foxy Brown, 702, and especially Usher were all eavesdropping on my conversation with Robert. "What do you have on right now?" Robert's voice sounded different. I stopped looking at Usher and glanced down at myself. "Drawers and a t-shirt." My reply was quick and unrehearsed. He corrected me. "Don't say it like that. That's not attractive. Say panties and a t-shirt." Panties and a t-shirt? I repeated. "Better." Robert's voice was thick. He cleared his throat. I like that. With my phone cradled against my ear, Robert's loud, irregular breathing penetrated my brain. I thought to ask him if he was okay, but stopped myself. Thankful that I was the only one with my phone line, and my parents were equally busy on their home phone line, I realized that my question was dumb. I looked down at my drawers, panties now, marveling at the transformation. The idea that I could say a word that Robert found attractive or unattractive amazed me. My first lesson about what Robert liked felt as if I had cracked open the lid to Pandora's box.
Child.
I had little idea what could open it wider, but the cocktail of hormones that swirled around inside of me made me wonder. Though I suspected that Unsparkle might know, something about this felt private, like I was being drawn into a secret. Keeping secrets for Robert was another one of his lessons. I wasn't 14 yet when I found myself wading into the murky waters of amorous entanglements and competing secrets. The phone conversations between Robert and me still began with the regular chatter about how we spent our days, but it wouldn't take too long before he steered us further away from the familiar and into the uncharted territory. Be ready to talk that shit for daddy. Robert's words were a command and an
Child,
invitation.
where is the trigger warning at?
Okay. You know your words make me feel stuff, Sho. Can you guess where my hand is?
Child, where is the
Are you
trigger?
touching your
I
chest?
got it. Yeah.
Keep going. Your belly button? Closer. Are you touching yourself? Tell me what I'm touching. He took me on a tour of himself, what he was wearing, and how he was touching himself.
Child.
His voice husky with anticipation. He navigated me through the same. How do your nipples feel?
Oh my God.
Are they hard?
Lord Jesus.
They are regular. No, I guess. Then squeeze them. Roll them between your fingers. At his direction, I began to explore my budding body. I bet they're hard now. Yes. Robert had already told
And there
me
you go.
that our special conversations were just between us. I felt conflicted about the secrecy of our exchanges, but blown away that he knew things about my body that I didn't. I didn't want anything bad to happen to him or me if anyone found out about them. So I quickly switched into protective mode and stayed quiet. This was how Robert introduced me to the world of phone sex. His commanding voice instructed me on how to awaken my own sexual response, which was unexpected for me. But he seemed to know it was there. With a grown man's confidence, he reassured me that what we were doing was natural and that my body wanted it as much as his.
Child.
Even as our secrets multiplied, the emotions that twisted around my heart and burned within me made me desperate to believe him. After all, how could my body do all of this? I just turned 14. I kept my deepening but muddled feelings to myself, my mind barely comprehending the messiness of the whole situation. While I was beginning to crave more alone time with Robert, I was also growing in my love and admiration for his wife Andrea as my godmother. An accomplished dancer in her own right, Andrea was beautiful and elegant and never hesitated to indulge our shared love of shopping and eating out. We'd make a day out of it at Water Tower Place on Chicago's Magnificent Mile. Me getting my Tommy Hilfiger fix and her buying a new leotard or specialty dance item before we stopped for a decadent drink at Starbucks, a place she put me on to. Then we'd bond over a chick flick at the movie theater or come back to their home and watch a rom-com in their TV room, complete with sparkling apple cider and Andrea's special spaghetti as a kickoff to an impromptu sleepover. Andrea also shared her beauty regimen, explaining that what she ate was even more important than the cosmetics she sometimes wore. I learned that she chose not to eat red meat to promote optimal health. Her glowing skin was a ringing endorsement, and at 14, I stopped eating it too. These were genuine moments for us. I looked up to her as a woman who was following her professional passions while also being a good mother. But a part of me felt like an understudy of who she was. I watched how she maneuvered with Robert and seemed to accept his lifestyle, wondering how I would feel if I ever got top billing in Robert's life. Unsparkle wasn't a safe confidant for my questions because of her own entanglement with Robert. My pangs of jealousy were real. When she dropped sexual tidbits, her loaded statements seemed to draw dotted lines of comparison between his treatment of her as his musical protege and of me as his goddaughter. I knew each of our official relationships had an unspoken counterpart, which for Robert included being a married man. But it was hard for me to grasp how many lines had been crossed, since those lines seemed not to exist for Robert. That made me willing to let them blur too. Of course, he had forbidden me from telling Unsparkle or anyone about me talking shit for daddy, because our secret was something others wouldn't understand. With the gnawing feeling that Unsparkle was my competition for Robert's heart, I took his word for it. Chone, can you keep a secret? Unsparkle shared lots of things, but she didn't often say that what she shared with me was a secret. So I perked up. For sure. I was at her apartment watching her try on her clothes. She'd try on an outfit and then say too many people had seen her wear it before.
Oh, you're back.
Or it wasn't in style anymore, and she needed to buy some new things. But it all looked great to me. Everything was silky, shiny, skin tight, or short. And on her slim but shapely frame, everything made her look like a star. I said as much. Thanks, Chone. She blew a kiss through the air that landed on my nose. But let me tell you my secret. She sat beside me on her bed so we could be at eye level. I have a boyfriend. Oh, wow. She sounded excited, so I felt excited for her. I'll tell you who, but you have to promise to keep it a secret. Okay, who? Of course I wouldn't tell. Who would I tell anyway? Okay. Unsparkle's face lit up before she said his name. He's a producer and songwriter. His name is Steve Huff. I smiled. I felt happy for her. I had no idea who Steve Huff was, but it was clear that Unsparkle did, and that she was glad to have him as her boyfriend. Do you love him or like him? That felt like a good, girlfriendy kind of question to ask. Unsparkle laughed. What do you know about loving and liking men? She shook her head and laughed again. I think I could love him, Chone. Maybe even soon. I don't know. Unsparkle looked dreamy for a moment. But I'm serious about keeping this a top-notch secret, especially from Robert. Okay. I'm serious, Chone. Steve and Robert practically hate each other. If Robert finds out, he'll tank me. I must have looked puzzled. He'll ruin my career, Chone. Do you understand? I mean, my personal business is not his business. We're just in business together. That's all. But he can mess things up for me. That's why I don't need him up in my shit. You understand?
What did you miss?
She opened her eyes wide at me.
In a minute.
Yes, I understand. I had no desire to share her news, and there was no one to share it with anyway. So it was my full intention to do what my Unsparkle asked of me. At some point, Unsparkle started questioning me about my conversations with Robert. She wasn't asking me about what I discussed with him, only whether he said anything about her. Did he ask about her romantic relationships? My answer was always no, until he did. I was 14 and a half, and Unsparkle's debut album on Robert's new label had just dropped. One day when I was at the studio, Robert came into the room with me. The studio was a maze of dark, windowless rooms, some with control panels and recording booths. Others were black boxes full of sofas, blow-up mattresses, massage tables, and dozens of framed platinum records. Robert closed the door and stood in front of it. I craned my neck to look at him from my seat on the couch. I need to ask you a question, and I need you to be honest with me. His voice was measured, but no nonsense. Okay, I answered, but inside, I turned to jelly. I felt like I knew what he was going to ask, and I hoped he wouldn't because Unsparkle told me not to tell him. But I didn't feel I could lie to him either. He was my godfather, and the person I most wanted to please. I also knew he had authority over me. Robert stepped closer, his hand still on the doorknob.
Sad.
I pressed my body into the couch, hoping I'd disappear. Does Sparkle have a boyfriend? Yes. He drilled holes into my brain with his stare. I was sure he could see everything I was thinking. Well, do you know who it is? Yes. I knew it was too little of an answer. What's his name? He growled. His voice as hard as his eyes. Steve Huff, I whispered. I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. Robert's voice felt like hot venom spewing down on me. I was sitting there squirming, knowing that Robert was as angry
right on out.
as Unsparkle said he would be, and that she would be mad at me too. I didn't know what to do. I don't know what Robert and Unsparkle discussed after that, but it became painfully clear to me that my revelation had in fact jeopardized her music career like she said it would. They started arguing at the studio, and their business relationship was completely toxic after that. All this happened when she was filming videos for her first songs to be released as singles. Yes, her album went platinum, but her time with Robert was basically over. I don't know how long it took for it to officially end or what the terms were for them to part ways, but it definitely ended. Guilt made my ears perk up to the gossipy tidbits I overheard at the studio and my mom's side of several phone conversations I ear hustled at home. So I knew Unsparkle blamed me for what happened. Of course, I was still Robert's goddaughter, and Dad was a session musician for him, so I was still around. But now Unsparkle wasn't. And just like that, my unsupervised time with Robert doubled. Now our secret conversations could happen in person. At the risk of getting ahead of myself, I want to share 3 quick thoughts. 1, I hope you don't stop the audiobook and rush to spill the tea on social media about how I have an effed up family. This shit's complicated, and lots of folks have messy families, maybe including yours.
We are using it as
2,
an educational tool.
I am a mother, a daughter, a sister, a niece, a coworker, and a Black woman in America, trying to be whole. I am choosing to be transparent, not to be someone's punchline or punching bag, but to try to heal. We've all got to heal from one thing or another. Maybe there's something in my story that will help you. 3, and this is big. I don't hate Unsparkle. I love her. She was and still is a talented and beautiful woman. I appreciate that she always saw my gifts and talents and wanted me to soar in the music industry. Those good intentions notwithstanding, not every choice was good. And sometimes she, like many, may not have been clear about her intentions. I also know that the crap that happened between Sparkle and Robert wasn't my fault. I was a child entrusted with information I shouldn't have been given.
Exactly.
I'll elaborate further later. Hindsight is 20/20, but we live going forward, not backward. So, left to my own devices, I was about to jump from a frying pan into a fire.
All right, and that's where I'm going to stop it. We've been here over an hour, 49 minutes. So I wanted to get to the part where R. Kelly basically was messing with Sparkle. And I believe, like I said, so you want to know what did you miss? I think you was here for that. I'm not sure. So just, a quick story about what happened basically. So, R. Kelly groomed her, started on the phone. As of right now, they have not had any physical relations. It's just, it was over the phone. So now, like I said, I believe, you was here when I said, I believe that Sparkle is to blame when it comes to Reshona Lafair, and her being a victim of R. Kelly's. The girl was already signed. She already has been out on tour. When we get to that part of the story, you're going to hear how R. Kelly manipulated her into leaving her group, because he needed to isolate her. It is ridiculous how he isolated her and how long he isolated her. And she was not freed. Oh Lord. Yeah, wait till we get to the part where the first trial that R. Kelly had. You know, they wanted Reshona to come and testify. And they were asking, where was she? Now, the family he did send the family out of the country. But I'm going to just let y'all know now, because so that when I schedule a follow-up, y'all come on back. Because when he was at trial and they was asking, where is she? How about she was outside on his tour bus while he went to court? I said, what? So you was outside in the and that's when he got acquitted. She was at a couple of his court dates. The child was outside on the bus while he was in court. So we did hear how girl, I was like, what? You was outside. So we did hear how, Sparkle, you get what you got. You set your niece up for failure, and then he used your niece because he was sleeping with Sparkle, according to Reshona Lafair. Her words, not mine. He was doing the do with Sparkle. And so, he's possessive. He don't want his girls doing a whole lot. She gonna tell you how they had to dress and do all that directly from her mouth. But he used Sparkle to X her out, breaking up whatever they had. But she did say, because she did talk about R. Kelly's wife. She was very respectful of her. She basically had nothing bad to say about her. She basically said that she believes that, she was doing what she had to do because she was also a victim. So she saw some of these things. So really, when she's talking about in this chapter, how they used to go out and have like girl time, that's all that it really was. It was that, Andrea was her godmother, as an extension, because R. Kelly was her godfather. So she didn't have anything to say about nothing bad to say about Andrea. So basically, she was what was going on. As we found out, Andrew was locked in a room just like the rest of them, couldn't come out and use the bathroom and all that. Had to knock on the door herself. So she was basically struggling in that, marriage to R. Kelly. Just like all of the other girls that he messed with. But she gets into some very exciting details. And they're not exciting. Let me change that word. She goes into detail about how he would make her jealous. So she gets into how he brought some other key players into this thing. A lot of times he had these people blindfolded. Child, this is a whole mess. This is a lot for a child, 12 years old. 12 years old, and she did not free herself or decide to be free until he was locked up this last time. She was 30 years old when she decided, like, I just can't do this no more. But before he got arrested the last time, she had already started rebelling. She started rebelling. So, your name is, I think you're the only one that got that. Your favorite painter, are you, you're not under, I thought you, I don't know what be going on with you and your name. It's like that on the other channels too. I have no idea. It's like YouTube is making a whole bunch of updates, like, and I don't, I get a lot of emails, from them, or or stuff in the back studio. They doing this, they doing that, they doing this, they doing that. And the fact that, like, I don't go live like that because life be life, and I'm gonna share that with y'all just as soon as life is finished life. But anywho, yeah, I've been posting like some inspirational shorts. That's where I'm at with it. But I don't normally go live, but I thought it was very important to come on here. When I started listening, because this came out today. She just dropped it today. And I thought it's very, I want to use it as an educational tool. We don't bash victims over here, not as a bashing section. I'm not an R. Kelly lover. I'm not I was a fan of his music. I have not been a fan of his music since I found out what's going on with him. I don't give him any airtime, playtime. I'm not stepping in the name of nothing that he got to do with. I just am not supporting him at all. Like I said, even though, Joycelyn Savage, I don't know what's going on in her head. She's still stuck in the matrix. So my thing is that he still hasn't learned anything despite him being incarcerated. Because if Azriel Clary didn't wake up and leave, she would still be over there being a sister wife with Joycelyn Savage. Joycelyn Savage is still over there stuck with handlers. So, for everybody that, okay, let's separate the man for the music. That's everybody's preference. I can't tell people what to do, but Survivor Speaks, I'm not doing it. I don't listen to none of his stuff. Look, if I make a Siri, don't play nothing R. Kelly, not supporting it. And now maybe just somebody that's a drop in the bucket, and other people go like, F it. I'm not doing it though. I'm not giving him any of mine, my time. I can't. I can't. Now, if he wrote somebody's stuff and I don't know he wrote it, it's another artist, that's different. But like stuff with his voice, I'm not impressed. I'm just not doing it. These were victims, and for people to blame this girl, it's ridiculous. We will hear when we get to it how people blame her. What? I don't understand. What's going on in the world today? I saw a very disturbing video about 2 weeks ago. Very disturbing. And I just was like, okay, so this is what we're doing now? Anytime, I try to stay away from, I stay away from politics. But anytime somebody's asking, it just don't have, this is nobody in politics. It's basically just somebody they did not show who he was, speaking to someone that has a YouTube. And the young guy, he was a young, look, and I don't mean to bring race into this, but he was a young Caucasian guy. And the question was being asked of him. So he was on camera. The person asking the question was not. And the person that wasn't on camera asked that young man, what is wrong with raping children? That young man was sitting there like, just like this. I have no, did you just ask me that? And the person was off camera said, yeah. I don't see the problem. What's wrong with raping children? Grape. I said grape, YouTube. Grape, like grapes, grapevine. And he said, I thought this young man had more sense than the person behind the camera that wasn't on camera. He said, I never thought that in my young age that I would be hearing somebody ask me, what is wrong with that? So just because the leader of the world does, every time he does something, it becomes okay. He said, that's what I'm getting from this. I don't even know how to answer that. It's wrong. So now we're condoning this? I said, is this a joke? Because what is he talking about? Y'all, we messed up. We have officially, messed up. That's all I gotta say about that. And all I gotta say, it don't make a difference what color you are today. Red, purple, green, brown, citizen, if you're here or not. If you're, a citizen here in the United States, you're on the wrong side of history right now. Because, baby, the PDFs and the Great Piss and all this, they're winning right now. It's not done yet, though. And it's sad and it's depressing. And sometimes I just be like, just stop the world. Let's just stand still. Because what are we doing? Why is it taking all of this? Why is it taking people to be hurt? How many lives are going to be lost before the people y'all, I have no understanding. But when I saw that video, I just was like, what are we doing? Like, what are you even doing asking this young man, is that okay? His face is saying, he's sitting there with his mouth open like, I can't believe you asking me this. I'm not answering that, because are you dumb? Why is that even a question that's just rolling off of your tongue so easily? So now we're just condoning this act because, yeah. If you want to watch that type of stuff, they have several channels here. Go support Don Lemon, the Midas Touch. They all show those type of those things. You got Joy Reid. You have a very funny lady on Instagram, Christina. I forgot what her last name is, but she's Southern. I just love her. She just be like, did you hear what happened? Yeah, she's funny. She be breaking it down like, she's funny, like basically what happened today. So you have a couple people that I will watch and support if I'm feeling like looking at some politics. But as far as me talking politics, nah, I'm cool on that. Like, I don't. Yeah, it gets too deep. It's too much. But anyway, I gotta keep it safe. Be safe wherever you are in the world. Just be safe. Stay warm, because baby, we got ice hills out here. I lost feeling in this finger shoveling. You see, it's a little. I don't know if you can see. It's purple. I need to go to the emergency room, but that was from when it snowed the other day. That's not ink on my finger. It's dead. It's no feeling in it. And that was from shoveling when all of the snow happened and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know if it's gonna fall off or not, but I don't feel anything. Now it's turning blue. So, so I don't know, but yeah. So I will go. I'm gonna stop it right there. As of right now, we are done with Sparkle. She's X'd out of the equation. He got rid of her using her niece for information, and so we'll pick up right where we left off when we come back. Hopefully, maybe I should be, but I don't know if I do go live tomorrow. It's probably going to be a little later than 6:30, and I really don't. I just have to. I have to see what's gonna. It's probably going to be later than 6:30. So I'll see during the day how my day goes, and then figure it out from there. But I'll try to schedule it early, like I did today. Where I scheduled it some hours in advance. And so we'll come back and pick right up where we left off. So I'm going to leave you. Thank you all that's here that rock out with me today. I don't know where my for always is, but she probably, I don't know if she did I not send her I didn't even go send her a child. She'll come over here and leave a message. She probably was busy because she normally just comes over. But Ali, thank you for hopping here and doing what you do. And for anybody else that's rocking out with me, if you're watching this on a replay, just make sure you're hitting that like button for me. Please, the hype button sometimes is there, a lot of times in lives is not. I don't know what's going on. That YouTube be picking and choosing. I don't know. So yeah, your favorite finger said, let me just see these before we leave. I was thinking they are almost the same person. I don't know. I don't know what. There's so much going on here. So many changes. I've deleted my TikTok for reasons of I watched a guy that was one of Amber Comey and Fitch's victims on YouTube, and so he's basically over there like he drops videos like just telling a whole lot of things, and that TikTok, the ownership has changed, and they have pictures of him in an Epstein file, so he know a lot of what's going on. So something happened, and basically he's just telling everybody, you might want to delete your TikTok for some strange reason, whatever. I said, you know what? I'm going to just let the platform go because, yeah. They don't sound the same person. It's almost scary how similar it sounds. He and child. You know what? And she actually, she doesn't say anything about Diddy, but I think she says something about him trying to get his the rights to his masters, and that's when this started, because he was trying to get the right to his masters. So like, you can't be bigger than the program. Now some people fought for their masters and they got them. Some people, you can't be bigger than the program, i.e. Drake right about now. Ain't nothing hit, nothing sticking, because when you realize that the machine was machining, because I ain't never been really, a Drake fan. He always been a cornball to me. I'm sorry. How you blame a 12-year-old? What people need to come. Listen, This girl is a victim. She's not a gold digger. She's not somebody that was going after his money. As a matter of fact, and this is why I'm sharing, one of the reasons why I'm sharing this story, because people will have you to believe that her parents was chasing fame and all of this stuff, which they do. She does talk about that, but she also puts into perspective that they were already managed by her uncle way before she even met R. Kelly. And I did see the picture of them on their cover of their album. Like it's her and her cousins. She had braids at the time, and so they were already signed, she said, to RCA. And they were touring, but they weren't as big in the United States as they were internationally. So they already have that going for them. So when people come out here and put false narratives just because they want to step in the name of love, and y'all want to keep holding on to that stuff, and she's saying, she's been attacked. She's been people have harassed her and stuff like that, saying she's a home wrecker, she's this, she's that. No, Andrea Kelly will tell you that what was going on with her in, as she calls him, Robert, had everything to do with everything. And this girl is saying that she had no idea, because this man had this girl so isolated. She had no idea it was that many victims. A lot of times when he had her sleeping with other women, they were blindfolded. So she didn't see nobody. He had her isolated in a room. He had her isolated once she was staying on the back of the bus. He had her isolated. She was sleeping in the closet. What are we talking about? She didn't even know all of these people. She could not be seen. He would let her out at certain times. The only people that knew she existed were the handlers, security, and the people that he trusted. But as far as all the other people that's coming and going, all the other women that he had in his life, she did not know these people. What are we talking about? Why are y'all attacking this girl? She was 12. Go. No, I'm not going to, I don't like people bullies, so no, I'm not going to say that. But Sparkle is to blame for all of this. Let's keep it real, and let's keep it right where it's at. But I do believe that Sparkle had a conversation with R. Kelly. And I believe that she fed her niece to him, but because it's just not making sense. If people would stop with all the star glazing and look at the facts, it doesn't make sense. She has godparents. Why would you tell this girl to sit on his lap, rub his head, and ask her to be his godfather? It's not making sense, Sparkle. So y'all want to talk to somebody, go ask Sparkle why that happened. Ask Sparkle why has she been telling this story and adding different stuff in there to make it look one way, and you on Lifetime crying about some ish that you did. The tears are for you, not for her. And she didn't even know that they were making the Lifetime documentary. She found out because the people was calling her brace yourself, but go to Lifetime. She said she see the commercial, Sparkle on there. Now her and Sparkle had just made amends. She said, she didn't tell me. She had to know at the time that I last saw her that this was being made. Because she was on there telling, even though she never said her name, she's on there telling a story that's not hers. So of course she didn't want Lifetime to reach out to her, even though she said she probably wouldn't have did it because all of the things that she had to do, she would not have even made public. But Sparkle, you on there once again being the victim, crying when you the one that did this ish. To save the damn tears, girl. We don't want to hear it. Diddy and R. Kelly being one and the same. Tell me about it. They ain't the only ones. I mean, this is, I think it was last year, 2025 was the year of the reveal. The reveals is still revealing, okay? Everything is still coming out. But anyway it goes. I'm going to get out of here. So I'll put up I'll schedule the live once I know that I can go live at that time. So I'm going to leave you, as I always leave you, by bringing awareness that men get breast cancer too because of the stigma surrounding the word breast. We have changed the word to peck and or chest cancer over here on the Survivor Speaks channel. We're going to keep bringing awareness that men get breast cancer too. And to all of my ladies, please make sure that you're getting your mammograms, filling on your boobies to make sure that you are all right. All right. And don't you dare let anyone come into your house and, oh Lord, I'm tired, y'all. And disturb the peace that passes all understanding. Like I said, if you on a rewatch, please hit that like button. I'm Survivor Speaks. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Peace out, Boy Scouts.